Ghost and supernatural stories by ghostly echoes retold.
I'm standing here now, looking at what's left of the old mill, a hulking skeleton of iron and wood, barely holding itself together against the wind. The storm was coming fast, the sky bruised and restless, much like the story tied to this place. The mill's last days were marked by a tragedy no one forgot. Decades ago, during a thunderstorm much like this one, a worker named Aaron met his end here. The mill oversped during the storm, the machinery spinning wildly out of control before collapsing in a cacophony of splintered beams and twisted metal. They said Aaron had been acting strange before his death, paranoid, almost frantic. He told people he'd been followed by a dark, towering animal with glowing red eyes for an entire week leading up to the accident. His warnings were brushed off as superstition until it was too late. I wasn't supposed to stay overnight. I had come to scout the mill as a potential investment, but just as I was getting ready to leave, my car betrayed me. All four tires flat, not punctured, not slashed, just flat. It didn't make sense. The storm picked up, forcing me to retreat into the remains of the mill for shelter. My phone had no signal, and the nearest house was miles away. The air inside felt off, heavy, like stepping into a room right after someone's been screaming. The dim light from my flashlight barely penetrated the darkness, casting long, flickering shadows that danced across the fractured walls. It started subtly, a low creaking sound that could have been the wind pushing against the mill's structure. But it wasn't. The sound had rhythm, like footsteps, deliberate, slow. They echoed above me, then below, as if whatever was making them didn't care for the laws of gravity. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was an animal. A raccoon, maybe, but deep down I knew it wasn't. I set up near what I guessed used to be the mill's control room, trying to ignore the groans of the old building. As the hours crept on, the air grew colder, the kind of cold that doesn't just prick your skin, it crawls into your chest and refuses to leave. Then came the smell, metallic and sharp, like blood and rust. It came in waves, so strong it made me gag. That's when I saw the first sign that I wasn't alone. My flashlight caught something on the wall, a handprint, fresh, wet, and unmistakably red. It hadn't been there when I arrived. My breathing quickened as I backed away, only to stumble over something soft. It was a bundle of fabric, old and torn. Unwrapping it revealed a shoe, worn and scuffed, with a name stitched on the inside, Aaron. My stomach dropped. I scrambled to my feet, flashlight shaking in my grip, when I heard it, a guttural growl, not from an animal. This was deeper, angrier, and filled with something wrong. I spun around, the beam of light catching a pair of red orbs in the darkness. They were high, too high for any animal I'd ever seen. The growl turned into a snarl as the creature stepped into view. It was massive, its body unnaturally thin yet strong, like it was built of shadow and sinew. Its eyes glowed brighter as it tilted its head, studying me. The air buzzed with a strange static, and I swear I could hear whispers beneath the storm outside. It lunged. I barely managed to throw myself out of the way, crashing into a pile of debris. My flashlight broke, plunging the room into darkness. I crawled blindly, feeling the sharp edges of splinters and metal scrape my hands and knees. Behind me, the growling grew louder, the sound of claws scraping against the floor, sending chills down my spine. I found a staircase and pulled myself up, heading for the mill's loft. The steps groaned under my weight, threatening to give way. At the top, I found a window, a way out, but as I approached, the growling stopped. The silence was worse. It pressed down on me, suffocating. Then I heard it, a voice. You shouldn't have come. It was faint, barely more than a whisper, but it was clear, and it was everywhere. The window shattered before I could reach it, shards of glass slicing across my arm. The creature appeared again, its glowing eyes the only thing visible in the darkness. It didn't attack this time. It just stood there, watching as if waiting for something. Then, in a flash of lightning, I saw them. Figures. Dozens of them, their faces pale and hollow, their eyes empty sockets. They surrounded the creature, their bodies twisted and broken, like they'd been caught in the mill's collapse. One of them stepped forward, its mouth moving though no sound came out. Its hand reached for me, and I ran. I don't remember how I got out. The next thing I knew, I was stumbling down the road, the storm still raging. My car was gone, as if it had never been there. When I finally made it to town and told my story, the locals stared at me in silence. One of them finally spoke. Aaron's not the only one. That thing's been here long before the mill. Some say it's what brought the storm that night. I didn't buy the mill. I never went back. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see those red eyes watching me, waiting.
If this chilling tale gave you goosebumps, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories like this. Thank you for tuning in to Ghostly Echoes. Until next time,